Burbank TV6 also had its camera rolling at Burbank's John Muir Middle School when Fischl spoke there earlier this year. Here's an extended excerpt from his visit with the kids there.
Almost probably several years before World War II ended, several death camps were set up in Germany, Poland, Austria, where, like in a factory, they were murdering and burning Jews in ovens. Can you imagine that? And that can happen to any race, at any time, in any country, if you are not careful. You don't have to be a Jew. It doesn't matter who you are. There's enough crazy people around this world. But if you educate yourself, you'll be a strong person. You're going to see the signs of the insanities and do steps to avoid it. And that is very important, to see the sign. We had many smart people in Europe. My father was a businessman. But he didn't have this feeling about how to handle this situation. And many other people didn't. They never could believe that this could happen. And it can. If you are not on your guard and you don't get together, that it can happen. Now look in America. I made a poster because of that today there are several thousand hate groups and neo-Nazi groups on the internet. And this is the picture right here. I bring it here. I made this little poster about the neo-Nazis on the internet. And the way I made this poster, this little Polish boy was in my mind for many, many years. About 30 years. I saw him in Life magazine. This picture was taken in 1943 in the Warsaw Ghetto, prior to his execution at age 7. So from that photograph, I made this part of the poster. And here is my friend, Mr. Ralph McQuarrie. He's a friend of mine for 35 years, and he is the man who is responsible of making Star Wars pictures for Mr. George Lucas. He's the man who designed Darth Vader and things like that. And he's the person, when I wanted to do Holocaust art, he helped me. He designed this poster for me, for instance, to have a fight against a new Holocaust never happening. This poster says there are several hundred neo-Nazi groups and several thousand hate groups on the internet who want you to be in this picture. What will you do about it? But individually, you have to think and find solutions for all of us. And then we're going to live in a very, very nice world where we love each other. We might as well love each other and not hate each other. Is nothing accomplished with hatred except hatred and horror The sure thing to him and to his simple, unemployed house painter thinking was, let's attack the people who have no arms and take away what they have, and then we have better living conditions. So that's how the war started in Europe. That's why Poland was attacked, and Russia, and finally he was fighting everybody. And our own self in this war, we were very lucky in Hungary, because in other countries like Austria and Germany, early, let's say in 1940s or so, the Jews were taken away from their homes and thrown in concentration camps, and some of the death camps were already working. In Hungary, we had a very, very brave leader, and he stood up against the Germans as much he could. So Germany was able only to occupy Hungary in March 1944. That was getting very close to the end of the war. And that's when really us, who had the Jewish faith or Jewish blood, had to be very careful, because the Jewish laws were coming in with terrific speed. They brought in Jewish laws that Jewish people couldn't have businesses and couldn't have money or whatever. And then the next step was, in a neighborhood where we lived, they made us, all Jewish people, to move to one house called the Jewish house. And the big Star of David would be on the door of this Jewish house. And we had limited time to go out to buy food, and we had to come home early and so on.
Fischl went on to tell the story of a Catholic Hungarian shoe manufacturer who, along with his wife and 2 daughters, helped Fischl and the others in the so-called Jewish house.
And God bless them. God bless them. They are not with us, but I hope they are looking at me now. Because I do love them. And this kind of people should be your idols. I'm glad I was able to tell you as what I went through in World War II and what was my fuel to do things. And in Hollywood, I went to a bookstore where I have seen the picture of the little Polish boy standing with his arms up. And the next 4 years I lived with him. And he was talking to me in my mind. And he became part of me, like a living person. And 4 years later, approximately at 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and went to the living room. I went to the living room, and he was standing there with his hands up. And I have sit down to the typewriter, and I put in a piece of paper into my typewriter, and I have written a letter to him. The most important thing and letter which I have ever written